Hey, sports fans, it's Larry Eder with RunBlogRun. This is Socialing the Distance. And we're speaking with Todd Falker, who got a new promotion at Puma. He is now the Senior Product Line Manager at Puma Performance Running. Todd, welcome to Socialing the Distance.
Thanks, Larry. Super happy to be here with you and, talk about Puma and how we're getting back into running in a major way on the performance side.
Cool. Yeah, well, you're in my favorite city, Boston. I normally spend about 30 or 40 days a year there. And down at the Charles Mark and Lenox and stuff like that when I'm zipping around. But the reintroduction of running by Puma in the U.S. has been a long time coming. And you've got 5 shoes that you're working with. I would like you to start with the shoe that give us the shoe that you think is, for people who've never used Puma before, what shoe should they try first?
Yeah, that's a good question for sure. As a product line manager, we tried to make sure the team that we filled the needs of all the different runners.
Yeah.
And so there's always, I do want to start by saying there's no one perfect shoe for any one perfect person.
Sure.
Because I think that's important, right? That every model is designed for a specific usage.
Okay.
So for me, I gotta say Velocity is absolutely a home run. One of the best new shoes from us that you can get into if you really just want a comfortable shoe that's going to be really durable, long lasting, and be a workhorse, right? Like work kind of on many different terrains.
Okay. And what's that retailing for?
Yeah, it's for $120 or euros.
You're in the right place. And then now take us through, you've got 4 other shoes for different categories of running. And we've got readers and viewers in all the categories, and I really want them to see your product. So if you want to kind of show us what you got, that would be very cool.
Definitely. We segmented the line really in 2 halves, I would say.
Okay.
Shoes that are built for, just people that want to get in shape, that are getting back into more health running. I think that's where the Velocity is really a great place to start. Great fitting engineered mesh upper, a nice comfortable collar, and then, really an outsole that's meant to kind of take you wherever you want to go. Durability, mixed with that traction is really, really important to us. Velocity at 120, I think is a great starting point. Some runners, and you'll have to forgive me as well, these are my personal samples, right?
Sure, no problem.
We've been doing more performance running testing with this than ever before. Our team has actually used 4 times as many pairs of shoes and tested over 8 times as many miles.
Cool.
Which, the proof's in the pudding, right? Like runners will tell you what they like and what they don't. And this process from the beginning and continuing forward is really just all about listening, hearing what people like and what they don't. And that's informed every decision we've made on the shoe. And, I do test and run them myself. This is the Eternity Nitro. In the US, this is at $120. It is a shoe that is designed for a little bit more support, but still really just a ton of comfort and a little bit more roomier toe box with this OptiFit technology that's going to lock down your midfoot. So, again, great fitting upper. And then the key technology I would highlight on this shoe is the run guide.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool. It's almost like a bumper bowling system. So that, no matter what type of foot strength you have, if you do happen to, pronate, supinate, or even if you're an overpronator, this is going to keep you supported because it's a firmer density rim that's on both the lateral and the medial side. And again, a little bit of nice biomechanics designed for the person that wants a little bit more structure or support. Eternity is a really, really good shoe that has a great amount of Nitrofoam under your foot. And of course, Nitro is our key technology in the entire line.
Would you take a moment and talk to us about the Nitrofoam? You did some really cool stuff in the trade event you did last week, which I thought was fantastic. Really enjoyed it.
Great. Yeah, super glad to hear it. Nitro is our new foam. What really is different about it is we're using a higher grade raw material as well as a new supercritical foaming process. And that just, allowed us to get a foam that's incredibly lightweight, but we didn't sacrifice any of the responsiveness, and the durability is quite good on it as well. So, it's a soft foam. It really gives you a lot of great cushioning, but also great spring and great bounce back. And again, that's going to be in all of the shoes, but in a little bit different configuration.
Okay. And what was the shoe you were just showing us?
Yeah, this was a transition because this is the Dv8 Nitro. This is actually the lightest weight performance running shoe that Puma has.
Wow, I like that.
You know, we're at about 6.4 ounces or 179 grams. It's a shoe it's just more of a lightweight trainer that definitely can transfer over to tempo runs or to some intervals or everyday training. Super lightweight mono mesh upper, you know, great fitting eye stay, gusseted tongue, really a lace up, feel locked down and go fast type model. And this is the only shoe that has a fully one-piece Nitro midsole as well.
Wow.
You're going to get a little bit more ground feel and definitely a lot of flexibility because we think that customer really wants that.
Yeah.
You know, our Puma Grip is also one of the stars. Anyone that's been reviewing the shoes online has been absolutely raving about our new rubber. You know, what's different about it is that really balancing of the durability with the slip resistance. And again, in Liberate, we have it just where you need it, you know, but not too much of it to keep the entire package really nice and lightweight.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And I love the graphics on the shoes too. You know, you guys, you just keep it in, and people runners like shoes that look good too. That's a big deal.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, as a product line manager, I work really closely with our design and development team. You know, we all have kind of different specialties, right? And on the PLM side, we set a little bit the overall strategy, but really are tasked with understanding, you know, the consumer as well as the competitive space. And so this reset for us has really been about elevating Puma Performance Running to, you know, to get in the race, right? To have some of the best running shoes on the market, certainly at launch, which it was a tall task, but I think all in all, the team did a great job delivering on all that. And, you know, also we're excited about the future. As a PLM, we sometimes live in the future a little bit.
Sure.
But I also might have buried the lead a little bit because, you know, the Dv8 Nitro is not only one of the most important and key franchises in our line, but this shoe did actually just win Editor's Choice in Runner's World magazine the other day.
I saw that. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And completely over the moon about it as somebody that's, you know, read Runner's World forever. And a lot of what I think I know was, you know, from reading that magazine and watching, you know, the podcasts and such like yours. This is an incredible model. It has a great fitting upper, really nice and simple, going to be able to lock down and go. And then this is really cool. We actually have a two-piece Nitro midsole on this. So there's a top layer of Nitro and a bottom layer that sandwiches our carbon fiber innoplate. And what that plate does is really allow your foot to turn into a lever for a little bit more propulsive sensation for when you want to turn up the tempo. You know, the shoe will help you go fast.
Very cool. Very cool. I like that. And what will that? What's the price point on that?
Yeah, Dv8 is $160. You know, and the global launch is in a couple days here. So
cool. I like that.
Very excited. And then, you know, the last and not least at all is what everybody's calling Molly's shoe, right? This is the Dv8 Nitro Elite. Basically, we took, you know, a Dv8 Nitro that's really designed for propulsion, but great for everyday training. You know, this should last you in that 400 to 500 mile range. And we took 70 grams, or I forget, I think it's 2 to 3 ounces out of it, working closely with our development team in Asia.
That's very cool. Yeah, well, she had a really nice half, and quite impressed.
She's run 2 halves in Puma so far, and has actually PR'd in both of them.
Wow!
And is inching closer to that American record, which I kind of tease her about. I'm like, okay, Molly, like, you know, but she, I think, just needs the right day. It was really humid in Atlanta last weekend, but I think we couldn't be more excited to partner with Molly. Yeah, she's a great runner. There's a lot of great runners out there. What really is amazing to me is her personality, just how personable she is, and also techie. I haven't met many elite athletes that understand shoes as well as she does. And that's great. As I said, you know, we're trying to listen. She's given us incredible feedback. And she's in our loop as more than just a runner, I will say.
That's cool. Well, you know, it's I think she speaks to a lot of runners, especially women runners at various ages and abilities. And there's been some great stories about her. I've got to watch her compete since college, actually since high school. And I was in Atlanta when she made the team, and it was a lot of fun. It was what an exciting experience. But no, she's a great spokesperson for you.
She really is. And you know, you mentioned the women's piece. You know, Run for Her has been a huge part of what we're doing differently with this line and what we want to stand for. You know, for too long, women have been a second thought when it comes to product development. But what we've done differently is start with women as the first part of our process. You know, when I mentioned before, 4 times as many wear test shoes, you know, we doubled the men's and then we added women's so that both genders are equal. And that's really where a lot of our investment has come from in the short term, you know, also making women's specific lasts. And then in the future, we have some really, really exciting women's concepts and ideas I will pique your interest about. But you know, maybe in the future we can get back on.
We'd love to talk with you about that. Yeah, no, it wasn't that long ago. I remember coming up to, to Boston in the late 80s. And I was asking a couple brands, well, how do you come up with women's shoes? Oh, we take a little bit off the heel off of guys, and we take the arch like this. And, you know, foot morphology studies for women, most of that stuff's rather new, you know, and you can always tell the difference in a women's running shoe that's being accepted by the women's running community, because there's those attention to detail that I think make the huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a last, and I have to get up and grab it because
no problem.
It's that important.
Yeah, I'm just jealous of the hard wood in your place, man. It looks great.
Boston, you know, a lot of these houses are have been around for a little bit, but they're nice and sturdy, you know.
Yeah.
So this is our women's specific last.
Nice.
To your point, we really wanted to make sure that we were addressing the needs of female runners, right? And what we heard from them was heel slip for women is a big issue, much more than it is for men. And so we made sure that that part was dialed in. And then also arch shape. You know, I think women, they're not just smaller men, right? They have different bodies, different biomechanics, different Q angles as well. So we wanted to make sure that their foot was hugged in just the right way that we heard from women. And yeah, we're really excited about that. And the last thing I wanted to say about Molly as well is, you know, we love her for that she aligns with social causes as well, specifically How to Run platform, which is something that, you know, Puma's established. And I think Aaron can talk to you a little bit more about that. Puma's established a Spark Change Fund in conjunction with our running relaunch. And we as a brand, we really community and giving back.
Well, we'll support that and make sure your messages get out to our readers. I really do think it's a big deal now. And one of the things that I've always liked about Puma, I used to call it a European approach, just a very thoughtful, methodical approach. And you would obviously plan things out. And I think that makes a ton of sense. And it's obvious that a lot of work and a lot of attention to detail have gone into the product. So great job.
Thank you.
Are you doing the shoes in Herzog, Ganache, as well as Boston? Because you guys have facilities in both. Is that how it works?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So we are a German-based company, but a lot of our performance product, specifically running, training, studio, basketball, is made in Boston at our headquarters here. So, you know, we, in fact, I was on with our innovation team this morning. We do have a fully functional team, you know, of foam experts, of last experts, of really experts in everything, the true brain power in the industry. So we have a great team that we can work on with them on some longer range products. And specifically, you know, we have some things that are already in the pipelines that we're excited about. But we have, you know, a fully functioning design, development, product management team in Boston as well.
So Puma's been around for a long time, and they've attempted to get into running at different times with different levels of success. The challenge now is we're in a pandemic. You've got running retailers who still champion running, and they're key to your success. Obviously, you've got to juggle that happy medium between the online folks and, you know, the Joe Rubios at Running Warehouse, you know, and then the running stores, Marathon Sports in Boston. How are you guys approaching that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll let you know, Aaron talk maybe more to our distribution and strategy and that.
Okay.
What we're really focused on, I will say, from a product development side, is really listening to runners, right? And what we've heard over and over is that runners, they want an effortless run. They want a shoe that they can go out and just enjoy their experience, and really, you know, get out and go and have a you know, just a good time doing their run. And it really asked us to design and make products, you know, that deliver that effortless run, that are lightweight, that are seamless, that, you know, flex in the right places, all of that. You know, what I can say is from a research side, we've seen actually more people getting out because of the pandemic, right? Like I'm doing this in my house. Looks like you might be.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
Yeah, people want to get out, and they actually want to get outside as well. So from that standpoint, runners, I'm a runner, and yeah, if anything, I'm running more because of the pandemic, right? And we see that a lot of people are getting out and being more active. And not just because of that, but because we want to, we're really investing in this running space. And it's a long-term strategy. The pandemic's been going on for however long, and it in theory won't go on forever, right? But what we really want to do is do two things with our product silos and product development of our running line. One is to be consistent. I call this Velocity 1, right? We're already working on Velocity version 2, listening, making slight tweaks and updates. When a runner finds a favorite shoe, we don't want to change that, right? We want to allow them to keep what they love, and really balance that with the innovation piece, right? Like, how does Puma do something different? There's a lot of brands with a lot of different shoes. What can we do differently? Why does a retailer need us? These are the questions that we ask ourselves to really make sure that we're making the best product that we possibly can.
Your competitors, most of them have a shoe that is in version 23, 24, 25. Of your shoes that you have right now, which one do you feel will be the shoe that you show? This is the shoe that helped us do the renaissance for Puma performance running.
Yeah, that's when I definitely have to come back to Dv8. The plate technology and this concept is not going to go away. In fact, I would argue that we're kind of in the infancy of it, right? Like, brands have a marathon racer that's plated. We're one of the first few brands that actually have adapted that for an everyday training model. It's got a plate. It's really durable. It's really lightweight. This is, in a lot of ways, the future of running as I see it. Will be other pieces to it, but this is something that we see staying around as well. So Dv8 is one of the most important franchises. I think that, not from ourselves, but from others, we've already received some validation in terms of the rewards. But yeah, Dv8 is a model that we've gotten so much good feedback, but I just want to be consistent, right? How can we, maybe update the next one to make it just a little bit better, but really keep the soul of what's good about this model?
Yeah, so many brands, I think, make a brand new shoe when they do a revision. And the ones that have been successful, I think, are the ones that do the tiny little tweaks to a shoe, because you want the people who are using it to identify with the new shoe, and you want the new people to give it a shot as well. You were talking about women's shoes. Does the plate affect women differently, a shoe with a plate, than men?
That's a really good question. And if we're being completely honest, and we've partnered with a couple universities, because I'm not a PhD, right? I don't have that background, but University of Massachusetts,
Sure.
as well as with Chemnitz University in Europe, to really look at the research and figure out what we know. And if we're being completely honest, the vast majority of research in academia has been done on men. Especially when it comes to performance running, or even a lot of categories. And for that reason, that's a great question. We don't exactly know the answer in terms of plates. There are some things that we know, right? We know women, have a little bit more flexible feet. We know that they have more narrow heels. And that's where we really wanted to make sure, step one, that our fit was really dialed in. And then in the future, I think I can say this, we want to be a pioneer when it comes to research, right? And to Run for Her isn't just a tagline that we stick on the side of a shoe. It means building better shoes for women from the start and investing more in women in the future. And that's, again, a topic that I'm incredibly excited about for our next call.
Cool. Now, you're working with Alistair Craig, the coach down in the Carolinas, and he's developing a club. Will you interact with the athletes there in terms of having them help with input into product?
Yeah, good question. I'll definitely let Aaron speak more to anything regarding the clubs and the athletes and that sort of piece. I can't say personally, I've spent a lot of time with Molly already. Actually, Hendrik, he's a German marathoner. That's a 210 guy. I was on the phone with him in Kenya this morning. getting his feedback on Dv8 Elite. We're here, you know, we're humble, right? But we're passionate, and we want to make the best shoes that we can. And you know, there's things that people learn when they run 10 or 20 miles at a time that maybe you don't learn when you're only running 3 or 5, right? So that's why we're doing more wear testing. We want to listen to the people that are spending the most time in the shoes, and definitely incorporate athlete feedback. Because at the end of the day, it's not about us, right? It's about the runners and making the shoes that they want.
What is the what's been the biggest challenge for you in getting the word out about Puma?
That's such a great question. I'm going to take just a second to gather my thoughts, if you don't mind.
Sure. No, not a problem. Not a problem.
I think the biggest challenge, I mean, the industry, there's a lot of people that have their ear to the ground, right? You know, and you know the websites as well as I do that are leaking and that are going into some of that new stuff. So it was never really going to be a problem about getting the word out. You know, I think the biggest challenge we saw was really to come at it from a valid standpoint, right? Like people can say, hey, who's Puma? Why do we need their shoes? And those are the questions that I ask myself, our design, right? Like we've all worked together to say, you know, we can't just copy somebody else's shoe, right? We need to do different and unique things. And if you have that unique proposition, in a way, it'll stand on its own, right? And so I think that's been the biggest challenge that we continually ask ourselves. You know, Puma as a whole, we see ourselves as the challenger brand. We see someone as, you know, and Aaron will know the lines a little bit better than I will, right? But we've always wanted to change the game. And if you look at what Puma's done in the basketball space, you know, they've really been a leader of newness, and that's the formula, you know, that from Adam and from our marketing team on down, that we really want to follow and give Puma running a real reason to be.
The history of Puma, you know, you guys have been around for since 1948, and you were founded by one of the Dassler brothers. And there's that attention to detail in German shoemaking. Your apparel has also been known for a long, long time. And I remember back in the early 2000s going to apparel seminars and footwear seminars as you guys started to develop things. Are we going to see anything new on the apparel side as well from you guys that'll parallel what you're doing with the footwear?
Yes, absolutely. And to be clear, I am the footwear PLM.
Sure.
I'm super, and again, Aaron can speak to that much better.
Okay.
But in a sense, our apparel has always had really, really good credibility. You know, it's always been excellent. And so I can throw myself under the bus a little bit, right? Like it was footwear's term to catch up to where we think apparel was already. That said, they've absolutely doubled down. You know, they've done more testing as well. They've revamped their favorites collection. You know, tees, shorts, jackets, all of those pieces. You know, even thinking about what's most important for women, right? Like women, they say women runners should replace their bras as often as they do their shoes. You know, maybe Aaron can speak to that a little bit more. We have some innovations coming in that space.
Okay.
But you know, I would say that their philosophy is the same as ours in terms of wanting to listen, wanting to learn, wanting to get better, and really connect with runners. And their product has gotten a lot better. And I've tested quite a bit of their things because those PLMs are my friends. And I've been really, really impressed with the stuff. In fact, I ran a JFK 50 miler in their kit.
Cool. Awesome.
Yep.
You're talking about the new midsole material. Is that from the company BASF?
It is not. It is our own kind of proprietary as well as process. Yep.
Because you had about 5 years ago, you had a product that came from that company as well. I remember that shoe. There had been a launch in New York, kind of about an approach talking about doing some things with running. Do you see you guys are in the right price points? You're in that 120 to 180 price point, which I think most serious runners can appreciate and know that they've, you know, quality is a big thing. And right now, running is really going crazy. Most of the serious running brands are doing pretty well. It reminds me a lot of the feeling that people had after 9/11, in that one of the few things they could do in their life was control their fitness activity. Are you trying to approach the more serious runner? Are you trying to approach? It seems to me you're trying to approach the various categories: people who use running a couple days a week, people who've been running their whole life, people who are new to it. What would you want to tell people who have no experience with Puma? Why should they try Puma?
Yeah, that's a good question for sure. So we've always had a lot of credibility in areas like track and field, right? This running relaunch is really about reestablishing ourselves as a great road running brand. And that's why we've signed distance runners such as Molly, such as Aisha, such as, Gesa. So it really, this focus is on performance and distance running. But we know not all consumers are the same, or they change. I used to run faster and I don't as much anymore, right? And so we call the one group the PR or the PB chaser, right? And we all know that guy or lady that you see speeding down the road, and they're checking their watch every half mile, all that stuff. And then the person that, is out just getting in shape and working just as hard as anyone else. So that's where I think we have two shoes on the go fast range, right? With Dv8 as well as with Liberate. But then on the comfort spectrum, with Eternity and with Velocity. And then, to your point, this guy though is the beginning of a house of innovation for us. At $200, the Dv8 Elite is really optimized for perfect marathon performance. And I know I've used the phrase effortless run. Out of all the shoes, for me personally, this shoe feels light, fast, cushiony, zippy, really delivers that effortless run as well as any other shoe in our line.
Okay. Talk to me about your experience with the 50K. 50 miles, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a great question. I've run marathons and ultras over my life. Kind of coming back from an ankle injury. In fact, a similar surgery that Galen Rupp had not long ago. And this was my first official ultramarathon in several years, coming back from that. So JFK is a really, really unique race. It's the oldest ultramarathon in the US. It's 50 miles in Maryland. And what's really unique about it is the terrain. You start with basically a 6-mile kind of paved uphill road, and transition to the AT, the Appalachian Trail, which is one of the most technical, hardest, rocky, mountainous places in the whole world, especially in the US. And then you do a marathon, 26 miles on crushed gravel, before they throw you for 8 miles back on the road again.
Wow.
And the reason I bring that up is because I actually ran that in Velocity, in a different color that's on the shelf behind me there. But, Velocity worked so well. It was comfortable for the long distance. And what I would really highlight for me too is this tread was just phenomenal. It handled all the different terrains, even that was pretty heavy trail running, but I think for most people, they could take it on some really nice, gravel or light trails as well. The Velocity is a great do-it-all workhorse shoe. At 120, it got me through that race, and I think that it would work really well for, really for anyone that wants to do kind of any running at all.
That's cool. When you, do you have a target woman runner? Is it someone who's new to the sport? Is it someone who's had experience and maybe dissatisfied with some of the product out there? Who are you looking to try your product in the women's running community?
Yeah, good question. As we did a lot of research with our marketing team here in Massachusetts, we really identified two segments. One of them that we call the devoted runner. Now that person is, I forget the exact age ranges, let's say, maybe mid-30s or so, and possibly been running for a long time. That's one bucket. And the other big bucket we saw is what we call the game changers. This person's maybe, in college or just out of college, has started maybe a full-time job, has a lot less time. And I think for us, it was important to we met with retailers from all over the world, right? And we heard what they had to say. And the question was, you kind of said it as well, like, who is Puma? Why do I need them in my shop, right?
Yeah.
What we want to do differently was really connect with, that runner that's a little bit younger, a little bit more progressive, honestly, probably already has Puma suedes or other things in their closet, right? Because they love our brand, but that wants to get into running because time is short. Maybe you're working a full-time job, maybe you have kids, maybe you're doing a lot of other activities as well. But really targeting that woman that has less time, but that wants really great shoes that she can rely on, right? That will be durable and long lasting is where we set our mark.
Cool. You said most of the shoes you believe can go about 300 to 500 miles? Okay.
Yeah, good question. I mean, I think it depends on construction. Liberate being a little bit lower profile, I would say is more of a 300-mile shoe. And Dv8, Dv8 Elite, because of all the weight that we took out of it, thinning the rubber, thinning the plate, minimizing the upper. I would also put that in the 200 to 300 mile category. But certainly the other three shoes, Dv8, should be that 400 to 500 mile range. And I would say the same for Velocity and Eternity as well. These shoes are really built to be comfortable and to last.
Yeah. You had a shoe years back called, I think, the Trail Fox. It was one of my favorites. And I actually used it on there was a 70K walk run in France that I went to with some Puma folks about 2007. I did the first 20K of it. And I loved that shoe. And what I like about the shoes you do now is the graphics remind me of that tradition of Puma product. What's been the reaction so far to the color scheme, the design? Any comments there?
Yeah, I mean, Puma has a great history, right? A great history in sport of all kind, and not just ancient history, but present history. We're doing incredible things in football, not soccer, but real football, as they would say across the pond, in basketball and in a lot of other places. So we really wanted to have a look that was striking. I think that's for us where the Lava Blast was important, to have something that would really pop. This is our Form Stripe logo that, I think it is, for us, it really is about being fast. In fact, one of the new innovative processes we did, the UV printing, was specifically to put that from the upper over the midsole. So that it could still flex in the toe, but this could be as light and as minimal. But then, of course, you have the cat, right? And everybody knows and loves the cat. They look for the cat everywhere. So, we feel really good about the materials that we chose, about the constructions, and just honestly really about Nitrofoam. And, not only is Nitro constructed intelligently in each shoe, it really has kind of a different, unique visual and sheen to it. And when you get it in your hand, you can really feel how light and how responsive it's going to be. And that's what we want. We want runners to be able to feel the difference.
Okay, so we're going to talk about positives and challenges right now. What's the biggest challenge that you see, Todd, right now in launching what I would call an iconic brand and relaunching an iconic brand in North America?
Yeah, I have to rephrase the challenge as an opportunity, because it couldn't be it couldn't be a bigger opportunity for us. The challenge, if I must, right, is really we've made a great product line. It is what I consider support, right? Not just making a bunch of shoes and selling a bunch of shoes and then going, oh, look at what we did, right? The goal has never been about driving the best sales. The goal from the beginning has been about driving the best product, getting shoes on people's feet, and then letting them experience the difference. That said, and again, Aaron or Jenna on our marketing team would be much better than I to speak to this, but Puma's been investing in a major way. We've been investing in everything from 3D assets, noticing that more people are, buying on their phone and doing those things. And as well as to support. We just actually the other day hired a new tech rep manager that will be covering the US, different regions of the world as well. We'll be working to support their local accounts, because I worked retail before I was a product manager. And you have to know what you've got, right? And the more that you can connect, as a brand, we want to connect with runners, but specifically we want to connect with stores in stores associates, because those people are the validators as much as anyone else, right? They can tell a good shoe from a bad shoe, and people look to them for their recommendations. So because we've made such a great product line, we want to make sure that that knowledge is disseminated, that the accounts and store associates understand the benefits of Puma clearly. And then, yeah, I think if we've got the product, I feel confident. So if we can execute, I think we'll be in a great spot to capitalize on that opportunity.
Your experience in selling shoes, I think, is a great asset to what you do now, and it's obvious that you've taken that into consideration. I'm going to take you, we're astral traveling, and you're in a running store right now, and you have two women runners. You have one who's doing 30, 40 miles a week, wants to qualify for Boston, so she's upping her miles, wants to get a couple pairs of shoes because she's now starting a 12, 18-week thing.
Yep.
What shoes would you suggest from Puma for an athlete like that?
Yeah, I mean, the first step, I will say, having worked retail, is I would have 10 questions for her.
Sure.
What is she like? What is her preference? What is her foot shape like? If possible, would love to get her on a treadmill like many of the top retailers do, to kind of see how her foot moves and works. But beyond just recommending shoes too, there's the biggest question is really that injury history, right? What have you had problems with, and how does that tie in? Because some people need a lot of flexibility in a shoe, and other people might get injured with a lot of flexibility. So unfortunately, without the real world case, I'm not sure how to answer it, right? Because
that's cool. So
it's a conversation that always starts with a lot of questions.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be. And I agree with you. I think that's in the old days, you'd go into a store and a guy'd say, try this one.
This is the greatest, best shoe.
And we know that. There was also, I worked at Runner's World from about 1981 to 86, 87. And so I was there during some of the golden days. And there was a change in attitude. And as we've evolved over the last 25, 30 years, about supination and pronation. And it used to be, oh man, if you supinated or pronated, you had to stop it. And then there came some guys who said, you know what? Your body was made that way. And some people, like Bill Rogers, I remember, it was like 1 foot supinated, 1 foot pronated. I mean, and he had did his arm that certain way. And I remember watching him on a treadmill, right? What does Puma feel about controlling supination and pronation? Is there some natural rolling? Is that the kind of thing that we should pay some attention to, but not obsess about?
That's a brilliant question and really cutting edge. I definitely have to go back to that concept of an effortless run. We don't want to change the way somebody runs. You run the way you run, and that's good. That's your body compensating. Anybody trying to tell you to do something different might not feel natural. And I don't know about you. When I run, I want to run. I want to do my experience. I don't want to be, doing, I don't know what, trying to think about what somebody else is telling me to do. That said, I was actually on yesterday with a PhD that's one of the worldwide leaders. He's done a lot of research specifically around the topic. And this isn't me. He said, there isn't a correlation between overpronation and injury. In fact, he said, if any people that are rolling more, pronation is simply your foot's way of cushioning itself, your body's way of cushioning that impact and dispersing it. So if your body's doing that naturally, it's doing that for a reason. And he said that there is not research to support that those people get more injured. So that said, we have 4 new shoes if you don't count the Racer. 3 of them are neutral. We know that for a vast majority of the population, neutral shoes work fine. Certainly there are people that say, I need more support. I want more support. I've had injuries. And that really is where our run guide and the Eternity comes into place. And I would also add too that traditional stability shoes have a firm medial post, right? Because they thought that they knew that the overpronation was here and that it was bad only right here. You don't know that. People's feet move in multiple different directions and pronate at different spots as well. So what's different about our run guide is it runs all the way along the medial side plus the lateral side. So again, if you're somebody that wants more support, if you do happen to pronate, overpronate, or even supinate, we've got you covered, from beginning to end, really working for all foot strikes. And that's something that, I would say is perfectly aligned with Puma's vision of providing an effortless run.
Well, Todd, you've survived 41 minutes with me.
We
did
went
a great
over.
job. You're awesome. I would just extend it a few minutes. I would like you to finish with showing us each shoe one more time, giving us the name, saying who you would recommend it for and what the price point is, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how my readers' brains work, or I will get, Larry, why didn't you ask Todd to do that? Okay.
100%. I appreciate it.
Right.
This is the Dv8 Nitro at $160. It works for everyday training, but also that runner that wants a little bit more propulsion for tempo runs, but really offering a lot of cushioning.
Cool. Like that.
This is the, there you go. This is the Liberate Nitro at $110. It's really meant for picking up the speed and the pace for, maybe tempo runs or intervals, and is really lightweight and flexible and is for the runner that likes to feel the ground.
And what's it going to retail for?
Yeah, Liberate's 110.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah. Velocity Nitro is a neutral running shoe. It's built for the runner that just wants the most comfortable, do-it-all workhorse shoe at $120. It works really good in a variety of terrains, certainly road running, but even for light trails or gravel. And yeah, it's just a fantastic, durable, cushioned, comfortable shoe.
Great. And that was 120. Okay. And then
120.
This is the one I want to ask about. Yeah.
And then in the US, also at 120, this is the Eternity Nitro. This shoe is built for also comfort and cushioning, but specifically for that runner that wants a little bit more support or guidance, because the shoe will not only give you a little bit more toe room and keep you locked down thanks to our OptiFit, but whatever sort of foot strike you have, it's going to help to keep you centered over the platform, so you can run more stable and feel better.
Cool. I like that. I like that a lot. And then what was the shoe that you had Molly racing?
Thank you. Yeah, and actually we didn't go too deep in there. I guess if I would have thought we were showing so much product, I would have cleaned these guys up from.
Don't worry about it. I think you're authentic. So, and my readers do too. So do not worry about that.
Doesn't get more authentic than this, right?
Yeah.
This is the Dv8 Nitro Elite. Molly's shoe, as we call it. It has an incredibly lightweight single layer mono mesh upper. Our Nitro Elite foam, which is from a PIBA version of that. Similar to a PBAX for minimum weight and maximum responsiveness. And then also does have our Puma Grip light outsole, which is thinner. At $200, this is your ultimate race day experience. Be light, be fast, and just, go get it. Set that PR.
Well, Todd, you did awesome, man. Thank you very much. This is Larry Eder with RunBlogRun. We're in Socialing the Distance today with Todd Falker, who just in the last couple of days, his new title is Senior Product Line Manager at Puma Performance Running. Todd, you did awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
I look forward to chatting with you in the future. This is a long-term strategy for Puma, and we couldn't be more excited to be back in the game.
All right, great job. Hey, sports fans, it's Larry Eder with RunBlogRun. This is your favorite program, Socialing the Distance. And we featured Todd Falker, who is the Senior Product Line Manager at Puma Performance Running. Todd is an experienced runner. Recently did the JFK 50 miler, one of the most technical and challenging ultras in the United States on the East Coast. You've got 6 or 7 miles straight up, then you've got 26 miles of towpath, and then you've got more challenging trails, then you've got technical trails. It's everything. And he did it after a recent ankle surgery, something similar to what Galen Rupp had to deal with. But today we talked about the shoes that Puma is launching and the whole philosophy behind taking an iconic brand and taking it back to its roots. And this really dates back to about 2013 when the CEO at Puma in a early interview said that he wanted Puma to be a real sports brand. And he brought up, in the US, we call it soccer, European football, as well as running, his two key areas. Puma's always had a great reputation for high quality of product, especially in their apparel. And they really came up with what we call, in the English term, sports lifestyle. when they had Usain Bolt, who was just an iconic sprinter. They were not able to. It was positive for Puma, and they spent millions. But did it help them do running shoes? No, and that they weren't really ready. It seems to me with the 5 shoes that we've seen, and we will let Todd. Todd spent 45 minutes with us and really did a nice job. And I asked him some hard questions, and he gave me a little bit back too, which is what I want to see. I want to see interplay. How do I look at it? Todd's right. You look at things as opportunities. If you look at them as challenges, it can be a negative. Puma has some opportunities. They have some opportunities to show local running stores that for Puma to be successful, those running stores are key in that success in the future. So they've got to take really good care of them. They've got to produce consistently great product, and the product looks quite impressive. Can they continue to do it in little bits over the next 5 to 6 years? That's really key. Do they understand the product and the challenges within the running community at this time? And they seem to do that. The growth of women's running is astronomical, and they are approaching that. And using athletes like Molly Seidel shows a level of sophistication, quite frankly, that Puma has not had in the club they're developing with Alistair Cragg and down in lovely the Carolinas. I'm very curious to see about that. Those things tell me some things. 24 athletes in France, global iconic athletes like Mondo Duplantis, Ornella Villeneuve, Sandy Morris in the U.S., Molly Seidel, who I think will be a real player, Geza Felicitas Kraus, who's competing, I believe, in the 3,000 or the 1,500 tonight in Torun, Poland at the European Championships. There's a ton of Puma athletes from Europe competing this weekend, and we'll be covering that on RunBlogRun for you too. But let's get back to Puma. Running is doing really well right now, and the brands that are supporting running are doing well right now. And Puma has the ability and the resources to really do some good things. The challenge is will they? And we've seen this in other brands before, and our readers are going to say, Larry, are they going to support retail? I think they really know they need to. And from Todd's conversation with us, it's obvious that they see the important things and they see the opportunity. And this is an opportunity. And if Puma can capture this opportunity, they can go places. So we wish them a lot of luck. We're going to be watching them. We'll be encouraging them, and we'll be asking them hard questions. This is Larry Eder with RunBlogRun for Socialing the Distance. We just featured Todd Falker, the Senior Product Line Manager at Puma Performance Running. Thank you for watching. If you like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you love us, subscribe on the YouTube. Stay safe. If you're going to be inside around other human beings, wear a mask, even if you're in Texas and Mississippi. If you're going to be outside and you can't be 6 feet separated, have a mask, stay safe. I will see you at a track meet or a road race, and we can talk stuff. All right? Talk to you soon. Take care.